what happens is, from a neurological level, from a physiological level, from a spiritual level, once you're exposed to these frequencies, you've leveled up instantaneously. Yes, that's right, correct, 1000%. Leveled up, and with that, you create this incredible insight. Hi guys. On today's episode, we go into the inner workings of incantations, spiritual work, prayer, constellations, the magic and energy of the universe, and how words, numbers, symbols are all relevant to the deeper integration of you and how it's reflected through your DNA, through genetic expression, understand the epigenetic model. And let's not forget, at the end of this video, stay for the end, we go through an exercise evoking using an energy portal that's created from a grid, a code, and a hand seal, giving you an energetic charge like you've never seen before. Thanks for stopping by us, guys, and enjoy the video. As we bear ourselves before you, realized in this human form, realized as a fractional expression of Earth, realized as emotion, feeling, thoughts, manifested as consciousness with unconditional love, gratitude, appreciation for all that is. We bear witness. We absorb. We receive the eternal flame that burns inside us is the anchor to our truth and the answer to all things. The power of Tao expressed through Qi, expressed through thought, expressed through feeling. This is the ultimate expression. Perfection manifest. That is your gift, that is your offering. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Howdy doody.
Howdy doody.
What a way to start off the morning.
Absolutely. Absorbing the riches as we would prefer to define a moment of clarity. Perhaps you may even consider it a prayer, the most powerful incantation, the infusion of the very essence of all things that is materialized in the rippling effect that you receive from those very words.
Powerful.
And I am your humble servant and seafood Taoist Master San Quinn. Yes, that entrees into the very topic that we speak of today, the power of linguistics, the power of the symbols, the numbers, the words, the letters, in reference what that really means as a Taoist within the infrastructure of the cosmos, how powerful that is, from incantations, hand seals, positioning, where you stand when you are thought, feeling, and emotion, pure consciousness, on the planet Earth, and what that means to you with the rippling effects of the energy, frequency, and vibration that you bear recipient of in the cosmos, which is all things, that is our beautiful, sacred spiritual garden. Moreover, the spiritual, sacred, infinite garden that lies within you, that blossoms and grows and nourishes the sacred infinite flower, which is the epicenter of all things, your truth teller, and the tuning fork to your intuition. Hallelujah. And so that brings us to today's pairing. If I was a sommelier, I'm pairing a constellation with an incantation, with a hand seal that evokes a sacred code that envelops and reveals the inner power of your sacred infinite flower.
Poetic. That's interesting that you use that reference or metaphor of like pairing, the wine with the food, and this matches perfectly because it really is kind of almost identical that we have all these ancient Taoist techniques, but then when you start putting them on top of one another and using them in concert and using them in this synergy, all of a sudden it changes just one by itself by adding the other, and completely different energy and connection.
1,000%. And so when you're doing this, I find it quite interesting because there's many people that believe that their thoughts of their mind are theirs, which is always an interesting discussion when we're really coupling what a thought, feeling, and emotion is, how that evokes the rippling effects within the culture medium that is your blood, that is the messenger to take that thought, feeling, and emotion that's materialized within the three treasures, pineal, pituitary, and thalamus, creating the alchemical response of those incredible feel-good, percolating little messengers that materialize and evoke a genetic expression that is determined by you and you alone. Your environment, your receiving of that environment, and what you actually do with it is your manifestation, magic, healing, all things. Creativity, as that is your default and the nature of who you are as a human being, is materialized. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think it kind of goes back to that age-old thing that when something good happens, like we want to take responsibility for it or identify for it, but then when something bad happens, it's like, oh God, why would you do this to me? Why aren't you listening to my prayers? Why am I in this situation? But yet when, the positive happens or, something else happens, it's like, yep, I worked so hard at my job. That's why I got this promotion. I was so invested in my relationship. That's why it's successful.
That's a very interesting observation, Jade, because really humans have a very short memory for deficiency. Accolades, ego pumping, ego puffing, ego stroking, all of a sudden, it just seems to go on forever. And this is has very much to do with the default and, what you're really operating on, conscious to subconscious to unconscious, where that really goes, how that's materialized in your reality. But for the most part, people are not even aware that there's even a separation from conscious and unconscious. When we go to that subject and we talk about that topic, most people are like, I know what I'm thinking.
These are my thoughts.
These are my thoughts. How dare you? Yet at the same time, he's knuckles deep with his index finger, jabbing his brain, telling me he doesn't pick his nose. But hey, look, I don't know what you're talking about. This is not an autonomous sort of repetitive thing that you're doing here. So with that in mind, once you have seen it, you cannot unsee it, which is the classic observation, realization. And that, in part, is not just a metaphor, an expression, a couple of words that are being used to express a situation. What happens is, from a neurological level, from a physiological level, from a spiritual level, once you're exposed to these frequencies, you've leveled up instantaneously. Yes, that's right, correct, 1,000%. Leveled up, and with that, you create this incredible insight and viewpoint, vantage point from a consciousness level that gives you the ability to really reach in and percolate and create this mind-blowing perception, because it all is about perception. Your reality, your truth, is the only truth you need to be concerned with, but it is determined by your perception of your reality. And so those self-receptors that are, landmines within your dermal layer, that basically is the little antenna that receives what we have expressed as the epigenetic model, understanding that epi means above the gene. That means all things that are realized, which is encapsulated within 3 ingredients, which are thoughts, feelings, and emotions. That's it. Now, you can sit here all day long and say, they're coming from my brain. Or you can take a moment, take a deep breath and go, Sifu said, it's consciousness. It's not just within my ears. What does that even mean? That would mean that I'm just like a little cog in a bigger picture of a massive machine that is operating independently but also collectively as a singular that is determined as the oneness that we would define as the 0 point energy, which would be moreover a subsection of what some people might be a little bit more elitist of and call it a Planck field, which would be in reference to Max Planck, who was also a peer of Albert Einstein back in the 40s and the early 1900s, where we're speaking on things where the evolution of consciousness of quantum in of itself was materialized, and there we have a new perception of our reality, leaving behind the Newtonian physics model, which was sort of antiquated and clunky in of itself. But even to this day, over 100 years later, we're still having a few conflicting ideas of what reality is, only because it's not measured enough within the physics model. Mm-hmm. And, in most cases, quantum physics can be identified within that binary code, zeros and ones, and understand this. They still haven't defined gravity in of itself, which I don't really even care. Just because you don't understand, I do. And that comes back to that singular, the black hole energy that's within the middle dantian, which is basically the epicenter, the gateway to all things, which is abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. Now, that is activated within a Taoist practice using specific, rituals that evoke the death of a star and the rising of the red phoenix from the ashes that then materialize this singular black hole energy, which is basically the event horizon on the lip of the black hole, which some people would call, well, not really, a wormhole. And for so many decades, we've defined this as some ominous sort of like, vortex that just sucks the life out of everything and you just disappear into an abyss. Now, Taoists have known that's a fallacy and it's never even been on the smorgasbord of reality, because we speak on this stuff, we speak on it from experience, having a very, very intimate relationship with the universe that materializes and transmutes our reality through all the incredible beings that have layered the lineage of Taoism in of itself over tens of thousands of years, and has materialized within the material that Jade and I teach you today. We have validation through cultivation, through ritual, through incantation, through magic, through manifestation over generations of thousands, tens of thousands of years that have come to this point that we are sharing this with you today. Just because you have to validate it really gives you a limited perspective because you need it on a piece of paper. Well, how about I don't validate you? Period. Because your book learned. Limited in of itself. Neurology, biology, physiology. If that's your subsection of reality and it's only valid at that point, good luck to you, and mortality will be very, very short in this reality, in this reincarnation. And that's for you to realize, as some very limited people that wanted to believe they weren't came to that precipice at the end, where I've transitioned many people over my natural born life that come to the same conclusion. Oh my goodness, it's so bright. Yeah. But guess what? We're here today. You're listening to Jade and I, and there are no coincidences. So if you're listening to this channel and this information is disseminated and you are in eardrop of this information, then it is meant for you, ladies and gentlemen and ladies.
Right. And you're only as good as the information that you have. Mm-hmm. So you can only make decisions based off the information that you have.
Right.
And I mean, wouldn't it make sense if, all of a sudden, they always talk about this like mystical fountain of youth, where you could go to this fountain and it would make you younger and you could live forever, that someone who would uncover that or understand that or experience that would tell everyone else that it's a fountain that makes you older. Because I don't want everybody coming here. I don't want everyone using it. I don't want everybody getting the chance to experience this magical, mystical transformation of energy. So I'm going to tell them the opposite.
Well, yeah, I mean, within Asian culture, Chinese culture, specifically Taoist culture, we do have a reputation of being misdirectional.
Yes.
I would have to say a very, very secret source type of stuff. And I'm kind of like breaking the mold only because my teachers, over 171 of them, moreover, most specifically the three pure ones, are very clear they want to release this information as there is a clear movement within the Earth's plane, within the frequency of the Earth right now in relation to its positioning in the universe, that it is time to level up.
Mm-hmm. And share that.
Yeah.
To share that information through an ancient ritual perspective versus a, very limited scientific perspective of what they've been able to understand. But I mean, even science is starting to kind of take a turn into, really. And there's a lot of physicists that want to share this black hole energy, want to share the truth of it, this infinite source, this abundance that's found within the universe and how to access it. And if you haven't, and if you're like, how come I haven't heard about that? Well, you know why.
Exactly. And, Taoists have been using it for thousands of years. So then it brings us to the subject and topic today, which is sort of the integration of linguistics, numbers, words, symbols, moreover, how powerful prayer is, and then integrate that with what I've noticed is quite interesting that people are leveling up with their own guides, and I've come across other systems that would be ancient but new, and they're coming to a conclusion of how powerful, the constellations are and how we use them. We've been using them, again, for thousands of years. But those constellations are absolutely correlated to specific parts of your physical representation within this realm, and then how we associate that with the actual formation of pyramids within this earth plane. And so we've been using that for thousands of years, using the pyramids, creating the grid within the Bagua that then is able to connect the frequencies and energies of a constellation and have it representative here on the earth plane. Now, there's some serious source here, and just that chilling effect that you're receiving within your physical body from me, giving you that aha epiphany moment, you're welcome. And so today is sort of like, okay, let's do the Salmonier version of spiritual enlightenment and energy, frequency, and vibration, and we're going to connect, a constellation with, a grid and a code that will give you some super source that will also activate the sacred infinite flower. Oh my goodness. See, but that sounds kind of scary. Well, it will be if you're not interested in, burning the hairs on your eyebrows off, because that's the scorching high frequency energy and vibration you're going to receive from this particular portal.
Yeah. If you want to stay in lower vibrational energy, you should probably change the channel.
And it's interesting because most people, I still see this theme a lot. If you're coming from a place of fear, you're not coming from a place of knowing, you're not coming from a place of frequency, and you're not coming from a place of manifestation, healing, creativity. So fear is an emotion that is debilitating and just keeps you very present in this 3D reality, okay? Even though it opens gateways to your subconscious and unconscious, leaving you open with the understanding that you're using this model of fear, which would then place you in the mindset of duality, which then is sort of creating a limiter. Once you step beyond that and you operate in this creativity, this fifth dimensional and above, which would be moreover 9, 18, 27 dimensions, it's never ending because your perception of your reality is only limited by your imagination. But, most people want to talk about, the physical body and then the energy centers, which they most commonly call chakras. I would just have to say the Hindus have a great marketing system. What am I going to tell you? Their marketing is second to none. Taoists, on the other hand, we fired the marketing system many thousands of years ago, and we went all in on, lack of information. Less information is more information, and you need to know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And so I'm sort of like the tipping point of a revolution, revealing this sort of ancient stuff in a way that is, complementary and contemporary in 2023. And so we do this knowing that you're going to level up your consciousness. That's the sole point. The only, driver and catalyst for us is for you to become awakened to your true potential, your true abilities, which are limited by you and you only, just so you know. But once you activate your energetic body, and we always, the main focus of our sermons within this podcast is, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You have the internal power within, your sensory perception in all five senses, leveling up to unlimited and above. And as long as you have a neurology and five senses, you are going to express that and be affected by all the material that we share, which is absolutely crafted to evoke that higher level of consciousness that ripples through the physical body and awakens the energetic body and the spirit body. That's the whole point of it. They're happening no matter what, but once you're aware of them,
Yeah. It's so fun. I find it kind of funny because people are very passionate about zoo animals, or oh my goodness, how could you have this gorilla in a cage when his natural environment is, running hundreds of miles every day in his forest with all these things, when really it's humans in itself we're in energetic cages. We're all in a zoo. And until someone like us helps you understand, or you develop it for yourself and realize, hey, when I step outside of that cage, all of a sudden that's my natural environment. Feeling energy is my natural environment. Exploring the universe is my natural environment. Getting downloads is my natural environment. We get so many people that we get them to feel the energy. We get them to experience it, whether it's through the app or one-on-one stuff. And they're freak out, and they're like, oh my God, I'm scared. I felt it. It was so much energy. And then it's well, do you want to be in a cage where you don't feel energy? This is your natural environment. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what your entire neurology and your soft technology and your human body is designed for. You just haven't experienced it yet. And once you do experience it, that's where you have these people either hold on to that I'm comfortable in my little cage and I want to stay there, and I'm fearful because this is new, and I have this whole world. You mean I have the whole universe at my fingertips? I don't know what to do. And then you have the other side where people are just this is amazing. I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to experience this. I want to manifest this. I want to feel this. And it truly is this kind of awakening where we've been so kind of disconnected and separated from feeling this energy in this little cage, this little zoo, if you want to use that analogy. And all of a sudden, we're here to let you know, hey, open the door and go experience all of these incredible things, because that is your natural state. Being fearful, that's not your natural state. Being creative, that's your natural state.
Amen to that. It's a great observation, because most people dismiss the simplicity of it. And so understand this, know this to be true. You resonate to linguistics, numbers, symbols, words, because it's deep within your DNA. Now, I repeat this. This was very well documented over the last 20 or 30 years. But moreover, big brain on Brad deciphered you know, using the periodic table, the binary code, your DNA strand is a message that gives you an understanding of a greater connection with the universe. Now, the Taoists have been aware of this seed, what we call, the replicating seed of the universe within your cellular makeup of the physical body that is reflectant within the constellations and the integrated, basically the micro version of a macro picture. So we use the constellations to connect and pair the physical body, because the universe is inside you. You are the universe. So this has been known to Taoists for tens of thousands of years. And so we use that to access a specific energy, frequency, vibration. And then that goes even more over as you layer the grid, you layer the bagua, you layer the code itself within that, and you have a Shazam moment. So, we've spoken briefly on your hand, because we're going to use a hand seal within this portal to activate that within you. So you have a mind-melting experience that would not even come close if you were taking some external drug, and it's inside you.
Now, question for that, for anyone who's wondering, is when you look at your hands and you replicate the constellations or anything, if someone was right-handed, would they use their right hand? If someone was left-handed, would they use their left hand? In Taoism, is there a specific hand for a certain one?
It varies.
Okay.
A lot of the old myths are, you don't use your right hand because you wipe with it, blah, blah, blah. The left hand wipe it. Listen, you can believe whatever you want to, and that's the most important thing, because your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. If you start off with a baseline using fear as a limiter, and then you put into it, hang on a second, I don't want to shake that guy's hand, he might have just wiped his ass, then you're probably going to find that if we did a little microscopic view of what you had for lunch, it was probably layered in, E. coli and a few other things. Oh, listen, I don't want to know about it, but I'm just saying, it all has to do with how you gravitate to whatever it is that is your reality. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. So know this: if you want to find poo-poo, you're going to find poo-poo. If you don't want to find poo-poo, you're not going to find poo-poo. That's the simplicity of what I'm speaking of. So hand seals, what happens is, once you do this, it's like, just me doing this, all of a sudden you get a tremendous amount of heat. You're feeling the pressure of my attention, intention, and it's being replicated through your own tuning fork, your physical body. We're using neurology. The mirror neurons are firing off, going, ooh, what's going on? I can feel this. My goodness, Sifu, somewhere in the world that I'm in, Sweden, or I'm in Europe, or I'm in China, or wherever you are, you're going to experience the same magnitude, because this goes back to the understanding of that 0-point energy, the chi, the universe. We're all interconnected, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, whatever your favorite hand is, use it. This materializes instantaneously. It really doesn't matter. Now, the misdirection is, if you are fearful of the poo-poo, then maybe you might want to be a little bit more considerate of which hand you're using. But if you can trust yourself to wash your hands, then you don't need to worry now, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So the hand is basically equivalent to a representative of the whole physical body. And then that micro becomes a macro, because we go even bigger than that. And that can also be representative of the universe, and so on, etc. So understand that, on a using, basic principles of what something might be more commonly accepted, like reflexology, which is just nothing more than, taking a body part and activating those meridians. Because it's quite interesting. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they use certain principles of some type of like what they considered a fairly new sort of like neuro or system that they were using to release emotions within their body. Now understand that, you give me any practice that some big brain on Brad has woken up one day with an epiphany going, I just found a new system. I can promise you, whatever it is, I will show you the equivalent of a Taoist practice that's been around for thousands of years, that all of a sudden big brain on Brad had an epiphany because, remember, big brain on Brad thinks his thoughts are his. And understand that that information is being transmitted through their truth teller, which is then being materialized through their receiver, that would then give them the idea that they're having a thought, feeling, and emotion of their own. Oh, what's going on? So, anyway, this person was explaining to me the system that they use to release emotions. And I was like, that's just Qigong. And they were like, what? Yeah. What? What? No, we do all this. And I'm like, listen, everything is energy. So when you understand that, you go to the page of, I'll give you a simple one. You're superheated. Who's been angry before? Nobody? I don't know. Anybody been angry? When you're angry, your intuitive response to that is, I got to walk this off.
I gotta take a deep breath, count to 10.
Right. Walk this off, take a deep breath. And you hear this from anybody, if you're reactive with this emotion, okay, take a deep breath, go for a walk.
Remove myself.
Right. And so what that does on an energetic level is it activates your liver channel. And that liver channel happens to release your emotions. And the emotion that happens to be stored within that channel, what do you think that might be? Anger. Right? So intuitively, you can go, whoa, how does Sifu know that? When I get angry, I just want to like exercise or do something. Right? Because intuitively, you're already listening to your guides. You're listening to a higher sense. You're listening to your intuition, your truth teller that's going, what's best for me? If you take a moment, you will always get the information. What's best for me? Oh, little movement. Moreover, the second I move, I activate that liver channel. And it's sort of like a rippling effect. So it goes through a cycle like the cup poureth over into the next cup. So through our elements, we have, wind, which is anger or moreover wood. And then you have fire and earth, metal, water. And so depending upon what you're dealing with, this particular person was talking about, we do these sort of exercises that, exhaust the individual, and then we get them to lay down, and there's a physiological response where they're releasing all these things. Now, on a much deeper level, what people need to understand is you're framing it in a way that accesses their unconscious realization of that. So now we're moving into what we call idiomotor response, which is where you're using your physical body as a tuning fork, which is, reflecting of, like we talked about before, simple sort of like systems that are so powerful, like I Ching, tarot cards, pendulums, tuning forks, all these types of things are giving you a message from your unconscious behavior, taking a deeper look at information, energy, frequency that is being transmitted through you, and you're identifying it as a clear message. And so these people would do an exercise which would evoke all these energy channels, right? Because, to the average person, they wouldn't even be aware. And specifically, this person did not even know what a meridian was. And to the defense of this person, it's, again, you know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. And they were really enlightened. They were like, whoa. And, they want to learn Qigong, so they're like, what a coincidence. You were kind of like practicing sort of like a rogue sort of like version of Qigong already. And so you're already off to the races, and now we're going to just refine it and give you the real ancient tools so that you're a badass at doing what you're doing. And they've had an incredible response and result from this particular technique that they use. So, adding some more specific ancient tools to a system they're already using, they're going to have an incredible result.
Like you said earlier, that sommelier, they're already using a little bit of this, but you infuse it with a little bit of this ingredient over here, and it, creates this whole dish for them.
Blammo. And so that's key. And so understanding that, realizing the simplicity of that, they were getting this response. And, again, you start with a Qigong, and it evokes that response, and then you become the tuning fork. Remember that it's just awareness, and that tuning fork, then the respiration in any way, shape, or form starts to travel that chi wherever you want it to. And so any stored, stagnated energy, which would come in the form of a thought, feeling, and an emotion, generated a response. When you rustle that up and shake the tree, poof, you have a response, right? And they're like, oh my goodness, and their bodies convulse and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's Qigong. And so, that was a revelation, epiphany for that person. They had no idea because they were really excited because they want to learn Qigong. And I'm really excited about sharing it with them. And they were they were already sort of participating in, this, what they thought was some other version, and of course it is. Everyone thinks they've generated a new version of the wheel. Perfection. You cannot polarize perfection.
You can't own it either.
No, you already own it. It's whether
no, but I'm saying like, I'm creating perfection.
Well,
it's mine. It's my system.
Right. And I think it's kind of funny because it's almost like this obnoxious reminder of human beings exposed in the world 2023, where we're really sort of like, if you hadn't looked at the bigger picture when it comes to big pharma and all these types of systems, where they're taking all these ancient things that have been around for thousands of years, a herb, whatever, and then they're attempting to create their version of something that's already perfect and heals human beings at will for nothing, and they want to turn it into some sort of like different, chain of atoms put together to create this chemical that they want to call, we've gone from, H2O to O2O, H2O, and now they're able to patent that within this realm of man, control the world by, limiting people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions through a system that we regulate as what people perceive as this sort of idea of law and order that comes in the form of this dictatorship that we've given a precedence over by acknowledging people as some type of governing body, that we need someone else to control our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. In any case, with that said, you have this whole bigger picture. So what I see it as is I just stumbled across, some shitty expression of that, which would be some, corporate global garbage like Pfizer. And they're controlling a gift from the Tao and attempting to repackage it in the old expression, once a pig, always a pig. It's just a different color. And then they're going, hey, this was free, but now we want to charge you $1 million for the same healing properties. And then we've gone to the trouble of controlling the environment so that you can no longer access the original product that was free because it's a gift from the Tao, and we've limited that. And so this is the same thing that I discover, looking into the energetic world and the spiritual world and the consciousness world, that you have someone who thinks they've just reinvented the wheel, and in actuality, they're just getting their download, their guides, their intuitions, giving them information, and they've just perceived something that is ancient in another perspective, which is fantastic. But when you go, this is brand new, this is completely different, this is something else, you've lost me. And it's not because I'm passing judgment, but it is really me passing judgment. No, is it? Yeah. Well, it's my personality, because there's nothing more powerful than pure source information. And that's really the goal of Jade and I, is to get you tuned into that pure source information so that you're able to access it yourself. And once that happens, it raises the bar of consciousness collectively, which is what we want. That's what we all want.
It's like that movie, The Lorax. If anyone's ever seen The Lorax.
Yeah.
Where they basically get rid of all the trees, and then the guy tries to bottle air. He bottles air for everyone, and they buy air, even though it's always been there. And then, this little boy starts to discover he gets a seed of a tree. They start knocking down the walls and realizing, trees still exist, and this whole kind of thing. So it makes me think of, if you haven't seen that movie, it's a kid's movie, but the message is exactly what you talked about, where it's like, you already have this within your body. You have developed this. This is what you were born with. You are getting back to this, stepping outside of your cage. That's your normal, that's your natural, that's your default. And getting everybody kind of to awaken and level up and realize that is, what we absolutely enjoy sharing.
And that brings us back to the simple power of the scripture. Let the man who's never left his village, let him know he's seen the world. What does that mean, Sipu? You keep repeating that. What does that mean? We always have an understanding of our affinity with the universe, our intimate relationship with the universe as we understand and know it to be true as a Taoist, not from a physics perspective. We already know the universe is us. We are the universe. But thank you, Mr. Big Brain Unbright physicist, that crunched a bunch of numbers and gave us another language in the last 300-400 years. And that makes me feel good. Inside, outside. Always. And so when you understand that when you let the man who's never left his village, let him know he's seen the world. What's within you is outside of you. You're nothing more than a shift away, one shift of consciousness, to accessing an energetic frequency, energy vibration that will blow your socks off, because it's always there. This is a exercise in sensory perception. That's what it is. Our giving you this. And so from a deep message of the Tao Wu Wei, effortless action, effortless effort, what we do is we share with you, we enlighten you from behind you. What are you talking about, Sipa? That kind of sounds a little something. What is that? Behind us? What? if you are aware of profound consciousness, frequency, vibration, you will believe it comes from you. What? What is that? What does that mean? I'm not in the business, or in the business, period. I'm not in a consciousness space to have you continually remind yourself, Jade and Sifu gave me the next component to my reality. What we do as a Taoist is make you believe it happened on its own. What? What are you talking about? Because as you level up your consciousness and you access pure source information, which is really our purpose, is to level you up, you start to understand it's right in front of you, which then puts you in a place where true profound consciousness is that you will always be aware of all things. And that would never leave behind the moment that you access that through the material that we share with you. Whether it's our app, visual audible experience creating a kinesthetic response, whether it's listening to our podcast, whether it's an exercise, whether it's a short form, whether it's, Instagram, whatever social media, that realization will be met with equivalent to a greater than within the universe. And true seekers or finders of the Tao will always be 100% conscious of all things.
Yeah. And getting back to the constellations too, it's like we're not sitting here going, oh, we discovered this star and that's the power, and I harness the power of that star. And it's like, no, everyone can look up in the middle of the night and see the stars and have access to them. It's a universe. It isn't controlled or owned by anyone. And getting back to that whole point that it's like, this is our infinity with it, because it's always there. That is, you want to look at pure source and know what a pure source is. And at nighttime, stare up at the sky. That's pure source right there.
That's you looking at yourself.
Exactly. And that's for you to do. Nobody has any control over that. That's yours. That's within you. That is natural. That is normal. That is who you are.
Booyah. Mm-hmm. And so when we get to, the constellations and we talk about the energy, and that connection, opening that portal using these components, incantations, hand seals, code frequencies, codes that access frequencies, vibration, energy. That's the key. And that once you understand that, right, all of a sudden all bets are off, right? So you use these three components. What? 3 components? What are the chances of that? Oh my goodness, 3. What an interesting number. You will come to a profound realization. And most people's misdirection of the fallacy of looking at the energy centers of the body, moreover, someone might define them as chakras, and they go, well, the lower ones keep you in the three-dimensional, the upper ones give you ascension. It's all energy, baby, all of it. You want to flip it around, flip the switch, and make the lower ones, the higher ones, the higher ones, the lower ones. It's all the same. That's the misconception. That's the misdirection. And most people get caught up in that because they're operating from a duality and a fear-based realization, which is a mistake.
Mm-hmm. And they're limited for that time until they decide they're not limited.
Right. And that just comes from, you know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And your consciousness will bring it to you. If you become attuned to that, anything's possible. right? Anything. And so we're going to do a hand seal, we're going to do an incantation, and we're going to draw up a grid that is part of a greater system with that sacred geometry. And, the sacred infinite flower, the sacred infinite garden, evoking that sacred geometry within the sacred infinite flower that is representative through the constellation, that is linked to the incantation, that is linked to the reverberation of all things.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm like sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm excited. I'm like, yes, yes, more, please. Let's go.
Right. And, it's like, everything has its place. Mm-hmm. Nothing ever goes to waste, especially from a Taoist perspective. Always know that to be true. No matter what it is. Energy is energy. Energy is energy is energy.
Yeah, and everything that is infused with energy still has that energy for, you know what I mean? Whatever else you're using it for. So it's like this constant, just circular cycle. Ooh, circle. We're very much
Circle
into
cycle.
that too. Circle cycle of just this constant energy.
Right. And with that said, having gone over quite a few things today, which was so effortless.
Effortless.
Just, I enjoy, I am job. I enjoy and appreciate and very grateful for my life, what I experience. I am job.
Yeah. And what we get to share.
Oops.
What we get to share.
Yeah.
Kind of, on a daily basis.
Right.
With each other, with you, with our community, with people using our app, with just social media in general as a platform to reach so many people and give them the understanding and the awakening of how powerful they are and the tools that they have access to.
Right. Yeah. Before we get started, there's a basic welcoming that Taoists always have whenever they are greeted by someone else. And this particular hand seal is quite simple. You take your middle finger and your thumb, you put those together, which you've seen this many times in, specific practices, whatever it might be. You may see Kuan Yin or some other, you may see Kuan Yin or some other, immortal with this hand signal, They just move from one to another. This is operating independently different types of meridians, and you can also reprogram them to put in other information into that energetic channel, which evokes physiological responses. This particular one instantly opens your heart, and then you take your thumb, you put it in there, and you bow to whoever it may be that is in front of you. And this is basically a Taoist opening their heart to someone, another Taoist, another person. You're being transparent and welcoming to the energy of yourself, really. And so by doing that, you are instantly putting yourself in a place of unconditional love and acceptance to whoever it may be that's in front of you. And that will be felt in the rippling effects of your intuition as you're like, oh my goodness, this person is just so selfless, so open. Yeah, because they literally open their heart. Open the heart. You try that at home right now.
Yeah.
And
Me. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll do it again.
Right.
So put
Right.
your two fingers together and your
Yeah.
thumb,
And then wrap it over.
and then wrap it
And
over,
then you bow.
and then bow.
And then as you stand up, you can feel that energy, and it starts to, the more you hold it, it starts to really accumulate in your heart, in your middle dantian.
Yeah, that like density and
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh,
heaviness.
it's almost like you're getting, it's hard to breathe. This is the influx of like blood flow, which is the, messenger of that energy, the chi, the chemistry. And this is, and if you just take a breath in through your mouth, you can feel that density.
Yeah. It's like everything slows down. You couldn't even breathe fast
Right,
if you wanted.
right. And so that's the opening to any interaction with another person within this realm. And it's basically revealing yourself, sharing your heart, and connecting with others as you are me, I am you.
Oh, it just keeps getting
I
stronger.
know, right? It's crazy. Whoa. So, with that said, I want to ask my divine, delectable co-host, Jade, if she has any closing thoughts, feelings, or emotions that she wants to share with the audience before we go on another magical mystery ride and an exercise in flexing the old spiritual, sacred, infinite flower muscle.
I think we went over a lot of really valuable information today that people can, you know, really use it to level up and open themselves and just be more aware. That's our ultimate goal. And giving you different techniques, things that resonate with you, things that validate for yourself so that you can really start to get that pure source information for yourself and tap into that because it's always there. It's kind of just waiting for you to knock on it. Knock on the door.
Oh, yeah. So, without any further ado, what I'm going to get you guys to do, and I mean, clearly your sensory perception is going to be with eyes open currently before we go into it, but there'll be two or three. Well, there'll be three stages. So, first will be the hand seal, and so you take the two middle fingers, you connect them in the middle, two fingers on the outside, and then just be mindful that as you connect the pinky fingers and then the thumb, it starts to raise the energy from your middle dantian and it starts to percolate to your upper dantian. And then we move forward with the code. I'm creating the grid already. So first and foremost, you would create the grid. The grid would be with this incantation because instead of me getting you to draw it, which will take probably quite a bit of time, I'm going to give you what we call an express shortcut version. Once I infuse the incantation, it's for you to use. So this incantation is very clear. You can come back to this video at any point. The incantation is quite simple. Welcoming the spirit and energy of the southern constellation of the energy of the red phoenix, drawing Tao's light before you as a profound expression of all things perfection. Take that to the bank on that one. So you use that incantation that opens up the grid and the constellation that parallels with that particular energy. Then you go into the hand seal. Boom, boom. Once you do the pinky finger, the thumb is the kicker. Once you put the thumb on, and it starts to percolate from the middle dantian to the upper dantian. Now, what you're going to do is, with your eyes closed, you're circulating that energy from your, just basically anatomy, from your heart to your brain, and you're doing it in a clockwise fashion. So it comes from your heart up to your third eye, which is in the middle of your brain, coming down the front, which is the yang to yin, yang to yin, yang to yin. And you're just circulating that, and we're going to transfer that into high yang energy. And now, just to increase that, you're going to breathe in and out through your mouth. And you're going to do that 9 times, and then you're going to hold it for 9 seconds. And that's the same pace. So you're now getting the hand signal, the hand seal, and you've already had the grid open, right? And of course, we're all sitting here going, but Sifu, I can feel all this stuff already. This is crazy. What's going on? Now I'm going to add the respiration, which is basically this pace. I want you to just follow this pace. An inhale, and the exhale is a little bit longer than the inhale, only for a fraction of a second, but it's critical to what happens with the chi. And you're going to do that 9 times. Then at the last exhale, you're going to hold it for 9 seconds, and keeping this hand seal within the actual grid that we are using, that was evoked through the incantation. This is all taking place right now. You can then take that to the bank and tell your mother you're never coming home. Okay? So, without any further ado, using the hand seal, you're already in the grid. You're already experiencing the energy. Let's take this to another level. Follow my lead. One more. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Leaving the hand seal on. Oh my goodness. And let that just ripple. Expanding, expanding again. Expanding again. And one more time. Expanding. Have that percolate with that yin-yang circular motion from brain to heart, brain to heart, brain to heart. And the color is a phosphorus gold white color paired with the phosphorus red ruby color with a speckling of gold, paired with gold, platinum, and silver. Now, you're going to go, hey, Sifu, you didn't tell us about the pairing but the second you said that, my goodness, the energy just increased. You're welcome. Now that you have that replication, you can release the hand seal and just relax and let that do what it does, as it has its own system and frequency, its own replication. How is it operating on its own, Sifu? I'm not thinking about it, because this is not about you. This is an access point to the frequencies. Just sit in it. Anyone that hears me in a distance, remain where you are. Anyone that is more present, allow your consciousness to pace and lead you to where you need to go at any particular moment. It may be in the room, out of the room, this planet, another planet. It is not up to you. Allow and receive all things. My goodness. I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, and I will see you on the next one, guys.